From each happily ever after, every wish upon a star. Let's break down the movies that shaped who we are. From memory lane to now and everything in between. The most famous of films to the ones we've never seen. Decade by decade, all the times we laughed and cried, and with a little pixie dust, they will all take flight. Reliving the feelings, and we're trying our very best. And if they mean the same to you, please be our guest. So hop aboard, we would love to have you as we hang with a certain mouth, the whole gang too. If you love nostalgia stuff, we hope this does the trick. Thanks for joining us as we deep dive the magic.
Hi, and welcome back to the Deep Diving the Magic podcast. I'm KJ.
And I'm Jeffrey. And if you happen to be a first-time watcher or first-time viewer, welcome aboard. Welcome. I'll give you a quick synopsis of what we do here. We started way back at the beginning of every Disney feature-length film, all the way back from the year 1937, and we are watching, building this master list upon a star, and having a lot of fun and a lot of laughs along the way. But today, speaking of making the list and moving down, we've made it all the way to the 117th Disney feature-length film. And the 117th Disney feature-length film is from the date of December the 20th, 1974. That's right, we have made it to the last film of 1974. And that film from December 20th, 1974 is a film called The Island at the Top of the World. The Island at the Top of the World is a live-action adventure film, right? It is based on a book called The Lost Ones by Ian Cameron. And would you like to start us off with a synopsis about The Island at the Top of the World?
In 1907, 4 explorers discover a lost colony of Vikings in the Arctic.
Yeah, so any thoughts on the Island at the Top of the World?
No, I have some trivia, but I can go over it at the end.
Okay. What were your thoughts on the film?
I had never heard of it.
Okay.
Didn't expect to like it that much. Not really sure my feelings changed after I watched it. It did have some fun moments, but I mean, it definitely wouldn't be one of my favorites.
I thought it was fun, but we can get
Well,
there.
what did you think going in?
Oh, I had heard of it before, but I had never seen it before.
Okay.
But
I don't think I had ever heard of it since as well as I go.
Yeah, are you ready to dive into the last film of the year 1974?
Yep.
All right, so we start off with some intense music and paintings of fire during the opening credits. It's kind of like fire and lava and volcanic stuff. We learn that it is, like you said, London, 1907. And there is some fancy dressed professors. They are meeting in a fancy building in England. And they are talking about going on an expedition of the Arctic. But then they learn that it's actually an urgent mission to find the man's son. The man's son, his name is Donald, and they're on a mission to find him. Anything to add about this man? Like opening thoughts on this guy? And he called this professor in to go help him and stuff to go find his son in the Arctic.
I mean, he definitely has his ulterior motives.
Mm-hmm.
He tries to make it sound like he's in it to explore all these things. Which, I mean, he may be to some extent, but definitely the main hidden thing is he's going to find his son.
Yeah, so basically he like thoroughly makes this dude like go through the stuff. Like he thinks that he's going on an adventure, but really he's going to help him find his son.
Yeah.
Because he found a journal entry about a found island that is supposedly cursed.
Mm-hmm.
And
where whales go to die.
Yep, it's the Graveyard of Whales. It's the famous Graveyard of Whales. And they're like, well, how are we going to be able to find this? Like, how are we going to be able to read this? Like, read this map? There's no like key or anything, so they find like this like carved bone map thing that like goes and points in the right direction.
Mhm.
Anything on that?
Which I thought was so weird because at one point he's like, see how perfectly it fits? And I was like, doesn't look like it fits too perfectly to me, but okay.
But either way, like he
It's very skeptical of this man the whole time.
so he rushes this adventurer professor guy to come with him. The journey is underway.
Yeah.
Um, Instantly, there's some treacherous travel. Um, he talks about how they can't leave now. It's going to be wintertime, and he's like, "Well, we're leaving anyway. The ship leaves in the morning." And we learn that they're not traveling by ship because they can't travel by ship. They are traveling by the Hyperion hot air balloon Zeppelin thing. If you look at the picture behind us, it's up there. But would you like to describe this hot air balloon? It's called the Hyperion thing.
Yeah, so basically it's at that point the first ever blimp. Um, and it's one of a kind, and this guy that invented it is all about taking it on some kind of adventure, but he has entered it into some kind of showcase the next day, and
But
he wants everybody to see what he has created.
the other guy's like, "Nope, we're taking it on an adventure because I bought this from you."
Yeah, and I was sitting there thinking, wow, such a jerk.
I mean, he paid for it. He got his money. Um, like you said, the builder captain guy is unpleased because he is convinced. He's unpleased, but then they end up convincing him to join them to get his name in the history books.
Mm-hmm.
And believe it or not, it works. Like the balloon, they have to like self crank the
They had to crank it.
well they had to like spin the propellers and let go of the ropes, but it actually soars. Um, They soar over some beautiful views, and we learn that there's a French poodle on board that has come along for the journey. Josephine, the dude who the reason that we're all doing this is not pleased about this dog, but they're like, whatever, dog's coming with us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they argue about speed, but they're like so they're like going through a Disney storm, and the guy is like, well, we're not making as fast time as we think we are, and the captain's like, well, we can't go that fast because I have to give it time to like, when you buy a car and you're like, can't drive over 60 miles an hour for the first whatever, like it's kind of like that. They were trying to calibrate the thing, and he's like, no, we have to push it, like we have to go as fast as we can.
I'm not supposed to go over 4 RPMs.
Yeah. So they end up like he's like, well, I
Breaking
own
in
this.
the motor.
I own this. So they like gun it. They push it up all the way as fast as it go, and it starts to go faster. But then the propeller breaks.
See, I told you.
But they do not have time to go back to France.
No.
So the captain's like, fine, I will risk it on one propeller.
What would they have done had said guy died?
Mhm.
Nobody really knew how to fly this
But
thing.
they decide that they're gonna do,
Why didn't they send the engineer mechanic?
I don't know. But whatever, the guy that like built the ship, he ends up like belaying himself, like scaling himself down to like midair change the propeller.
Mhm.
Dude risks his life to scale down the aircraft to change the propeller, like I said. He does slip and fall,
Mhm.
but he's hung on by ropes before successfully changing, and the journey continues.
Yep.
Some slapstick fun there. They travel just like they're on the ride Soarin'. They're going over like polar bears and whales and mountains, just like they're on Soarin'. Anything about that? No. Um, they navigate the Arctic and they just barely make it through the icebergs. They have to like lower themselves through to make it through the icebergs,
Mhm.
which is more than the Titanic could say. Um, I reference the Titanic a lot in this podcast. Um, but then they like reach like this like this land, and they land it, much to like the shock of like the locals of the Arctic, that there's this flying contraption. Want to talk about that?
Yeah. So the design on the balloon if you're on the ground and looking up, it kind of looks like a whale, but with sharp teeth. I don't know if they like took that into consideration when they were designing the balloon, but for people that have never seen anything like this, and are still kind of like living a primitive lifestyle, I'm sure that was terrifying.
Yeah.
Because it did remind me of like the mouth of some kind of beast when you looked at it from that angle. Is that what you thought?
They were nervous for sure. I mean, it's just this massive thing flying through the air.
Yeah, but it had teeth.
They've never seen this. They've never seen something fly through the air before. But they do end up assisting it to land. They like grab the ropes. And they're like, though it's like this doesn't make any sense. And then the guys are like, well, one man's myth is another man's gospel.
Mhm.
And then they start talking to the locals, and they start asking questions about this dude's son. And no one will help them because of the evil spirits.
Mhm.
They're like, no, there's evil spirits. Like you came on this evil spirit. We lost this son on an evil spirit, and they're like, wait, you lost our son? And then that's what they finally say. Like he got lost
Mhm.
in a snow blizzard, and they did their best, but the evil spirits they couldn't. Um, he made it out, but because he acted like a bear or something, he like acted like he was like he was a bear,
Mhm.
and then like the son didn't make it.
Mhm.
But then they're like, well, this guy's never gonna help you because he's afraid of it all. Like he's like lost it because of all the what happened to him when they were on the mission with the son.
Mhm.
But then they're like, all the locals want to get on the ship, so they're like, all right, well, we'll bring this dude on the ship with us so that way he can get on with the locals. And then they pretty much just capture him.
Kidnapped him.
Yep, they kidnap him. They begin their ascent.
It's him first, and he was like, "No."
Um, they do begin their ascent with the locals still on board, and he is terrified. But they don't have enough.
Mick.
They don't have enough. Like it's too heavy with everybody on board, so they leave the mechanic behind. So
The
now,
mechanic that didn't bother to fix the propeller.
so now Sir Anthony, who was the dude who was looking for his son, is going to assume the position as the mechanic, even though he's just some wealthy guy. Um,
Much to the inventor's displeasure.
so then they are floating on, and they're like, we don't know where we are, like we're off the map. But then all of a sudden, they start seeing all these whales from all these different kinds migrating all towards the same place. Do you want to talk about that? Like the different kinds of whales and stuff?
Yes, and he's like, "We have found it. The
That's-
place where whales go to
Yeah,
die."
the
And I
whale
was like,
graveyard.
"Well, I hope not, because that's a ton of whales."
Mhm.
Is that like a legit thing? I didn't bother to look
I've
it
heard
up.
of it before. I mean, it's just like a mythology thing, the whale graveyard or whatever. When you're into that stuff,
I am. So,
it's like the Norway Pavilion at Epcot. But either way, so they,
do you think there's a reference to this movie in there?
I mean, probably like the whole, like, well, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. No, I'm not going to get ahead of ourselves, but, um, so they end up following these whales, and then they find the cloud from the journal. But the local refuses to help them because he's scared, but that gives away, like, yes, they're going the right way. Um, the poodle comforts the local guy, whatever his name was that you mentioned, but you're looking up whales right now, so. And then they read the thing from the map that they found that says that hidden beneath the cloud is the island.
Mhm.
So then the captain, he stalls the ship because they can't see through the cloud. Like it's like this like really dense cloud they can't see. Um, so then they're like, all right, we're gonna have to just enter this via foot and gamble leaving the ship. But then the captain's like, we can't leave the ship. So then they decide to attack the cloud instead. Like he turns the motor back on to attack the cloud. Another Disney storm, scaring everybody, scaring the locals, scaring the pups, scaring everybody. It's an intense Disney storm. The airship is swinging all over the place. It is rapidly going all over the place. And they end up that they have to shed weight. They have to shed weight to try to survive because it's just not going the way they want. And there's this crazy storm. And then in their mission to shed weight, they end up crashing into a mountain in the process. Um, there's a bad crash. They lose a propeller, and there's a bunch of bad damages as the ship goes down. And they all get thrown from it except for the captain, who is forced to ride his contraption to his unknown destiny. Anything to add there?
Yeah.
So now we have the local guy, whose name I don't remember, you wrote it down.
Olmec.
Omek. We have the initial adventurer guy, kind of like the main character dude.
Hmm.
And then we have Sir Anthony, who's looking for his son,
The other guy is Iverson.
Iverson. So we have Omek, Iverson, and Sir Anthony,
Mhm.
who are trying to find their son, whose name I wrote down in the beginning, that O'Donnell.
Donald.
All right, so on the same page?
Mhm.
Cool. The three men are forced to venture through the blizzard with no supplies on foot. But the local guy, Omek, he keeps feeling that people are watching them. And we do see that someone is watching, but the others don't see it. Um, and they're like, we don't know where we're going. So then Iverson says, if you don't know where you're going, I suppose one way is as good as the other. So they are just trying to find it. But then the cloud moves, and they see like a green fertile lands, like a perfectly green fertile lands that was caused by like a volcanic eruption previously.
Mhm.
But then they're captured by the guys from the island. They're captured by island men, all of them.
Mhm.
They're speaking Norse because they are Vikings who think that they are invaders trying to take their land. They're trying to convince them that they are there to find Donald. But even like when they're trying to get through to them, they don't speak the same language, and then Omek ends up attacking one of the Vikings, which like doesn't help their cause. But they do find out from one of them that their son is there, and he's well, and he's living on a farm. Want to talk about that? Anything on this scene so far?
So they find out he's there because they say that he's there, but they don't see him. Um, and then they find a girl that speaks really good English, like better than some people they were referencing. And they ask her about it, and then she said that Donald taught her.
Yeah.
So then the father's like, well, he must have spent a lot of time with her if she speaks English as well. So then we find out that Donald's not there because somebody took him. And they were like, well, you need to come into the house so we can talk. Doesn't that sound sketchy?
Yeah. So great job there. The only thing that you missed is that when they finally get led down to the Green Country, they learn that it is the lost colony of Astrogard, which is like a famous
Yep.
Viking god place.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to go to see their son. They end up going. They arrive looking for Donald, and they meet that family who speak English because of the daughter,
Mm-hmm.
who is friends with Donald. But we learn that Donald has been taken away by the high priest because the high priest saw the professors because he's the guy that saw him earlier, and they think that Donald was a spy to like give away their land or give
Yeah.
away like their location with these guys coming. So they captured and hid Donald.
Mm-hmm.
So they're entered into like a secure castle, and they're all the scared locals are like afraid of them. They all like flee into like the water off the bridge to get away. Um, and they're like brought into like this village, and like this village castle temple thing has a bunch of like people that are not there for them. They are not allowed there. They There's like giant statues of Viking gods, and we learn that this creepy fiery temple is the Viking Council
Mm-hmm.
and the High Priest guy.
Mhm.
We learn that Donald is also another prisoner, and all three are brought into the front of the council.
Mhm.
After the Norse god, um, it's like this very intense trial where everyone's yelling and like,
Yeah, it looks like Gandalf the Grey walks in.
yep. The three men are condemned without a hearing. The three men will be burned in the Viking honors because again they found these people's land and they're not supposed to,
Mhm.
and Donald is the person that gave them away. I actually think that somewhere I didn't write it down that the dude escapes, right? Like the local dude, like
He
Olmec.
did. When they captured Sir Anthony and Iverson, they also had caught Olmec, but he escaped because he on their way to the temple for the trial, he jumped into the water
Yeah, he jumps off the bridge. Okay.
and he escaped.
So now it's just the three of them. It is Iverson, Sir Anthony,
And that's
and
when he's
Donald.
actually like reunited with his son.
Yeah.
Right before they die.
Yep, the three men are to be burned in Viking honors. Where am I? Okay. But then out of nowhere, when they're like waiting to be burnt, when everyone's watching, we see Freya, who is the girl from earlier that speaks English. She rescues the men from death and then swims, and they all swim away. Like she's like basically swims up to like their like fire pyre, and then isn't that what it's called?
I
Um,
think they just call it a pyre. I don't think they call it a fire pyre.
and then they end up like
That
swim.
sounds like some redneck
I mean,
fire pyre.
so then they end up swimming away. And then there's this big boat chase that begins. There's like fiery arrows, like they're shooting arrows. Freya tries to distract them. So basically, Freya's like, "All right, I'm going to distract these people," and then like they're going to chase after me, and
Yeah.
it's successful. And the three men are able to escape, but now they don't have Freya anymore. The three men escape, and
Olmec.
they find Olmec again, and Olmec is finally reacquainted with Donald.
Hmm.
Now there's four of them, and Donald and his father finally have a chance to talk.
And that's when they find the well graveyard.
Donald and his father are finally able to talk. And it's at this point that Freya comes back, and Donald and Freya are also reacquainted, and they discuss that they had a plan to escape. They see the Viking boats approaching, and they begin to escape up the mountain. Uh, but they see boats, but then all of a sudden they see boats leaving, and then they're like, "Oh, great, they're leaving. They couldn't find us." But then Sir Anthony ends up falling and like slipping down the cliff and gives away, makes a whole big scene. So they end up coming back for them.
Hmm.
Uh, they reach the top of the mountain and it's like this volcano. They
We
have
didn't
to.
talk about the attack of the killer whales.
That's because that is next.
No, they found the graveyard when they found Olmec, I thought.
They have to hide at the Bay of Whales. No, I talk about it right here.
Oh.
This is where they reach like they this is when they're going off the mountain and then they have to get into the thing. Remember they like go down like the gateway to hell or whatever. That's what's called. So they have to hide at the Bay of Whales, but Freya's very afraid because of the spirits that she's been told about her whole life.
Hmm.
But they have to carry on through the fire and the volcanic activity, and they're like running away from a volcanic eruption in very 1974 CGI. It's a very much of a CGI nightmare. And but then they find a bunch of bones signifying that they have made it to the Bay of Whales.
Hmm.
And then Freya starts like reciting like an old Viking proverb or whatever, saying that they had to go through the the mouth of hell,
Hmm.
and they realize that the mouth of hell is actually like going inside the volcano. So like the whole like the eruption hole of the volcano, they have to go inside of that. It's like a decommissioned volcano, or not decommissioned, dormant, yeah. So they go into this former volcano and they enter the crater to get away just in time. But then the Vikings end up blocking the crater exit, causing an avalanche. But they end up finding flowing water as they try to escape. They paddle through the bay, but the bay is guarded by sea beasts, and it basically this is where is the attack of the giant whales. And I don't know what to talk about it, but all I wrote that it suddenly turns into Free Willy. Go ahead.
Suddenly it turns into
Because there's just like jumping whales everywhere, and basically they're attacked by killer whales. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, so they get attacked by killer whales, and
Michael Jackson plays, and then they let the
point-
thing escape.
I busted out laughing because I love killer whales, and this was also a CGI nightmare.
Mhm.
At one point, I said, "Can whales fly?" Because it looked like it literally flew across the screen. It looks like they just took like some kind of weld, like a killer whale looking toy, and kind of just like tossed it into the air.
Well,
Like it did not
I mean,
look
you've
like.
never seen it fly, but you don't know. You've never been to the Bay of Whales.
I know, but I've seen killer whales,
You never see where they go to die.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that they look natural when they go to die, not like this. Anyway,
So things don't look great.
natural.
They are being attacked by the whales, and then suddenly the whales begin to be shot at. And then, much to their shock, they see the crashed Hyperion and the old captain who is there to save their
Dun,
lives.
dun, dun. Perfect timing.
The entire gang is back together. So now we have
The gang's all here.
now we have the captain.
Mhm.
We have Sir Anthony. We have Sir Anthony's son Donald.
Hmm.
We have Iverson, the explorer. We have Omek, the scared local, and we have Freya,
Hmm.
who's in love with
Donald.
Donald. The whole entire gang is back together.
Hmm.
They think they come up with this plan that basically, if they reduce the weight by abandoning the motors, they will be able to float away on a hot, like in the hot air balloon, just like floating away, like they're in the
Sounds like a wonderful idea, doesn't
it
it?
sounds like they're in the Wizard of Oz. So they discuss the plan of freeing the airship. They begin to free float through the air because they don't have a motor anymore, and they actually rise up, like it's actually working. While they're in the air, they see that the campfires are the Vikings that are still pursuing them.
Hmm.
They all celebrate their safety. Donald promises Freya that the outside world will be just as enjoyable, and they kiss. With their clearly not brushed teeth and how long that journey's been, so that's disgusting. And then but then unfortunately, because the evil spirits or whatever, the winds change and they are drifted back towards where they came from, unfortunately. So basically, they're like gifted on a silver platter back to these Vikings. The Vikings have a clear shot at the sitting duck balloon, but then they run away in fear of the prophecy. But the high priest guy is like, nope. He shoots a fire arrow, blowing up the helium balloon. Just as the good guys were able to, but just like so all the good guys were able to escape, but then this dude blows up the balloon. Which unfortunately the high priest, Norse Viking, he sees his untimely end due to the fiery balloon explosion.
And the prophecy came true
It's true.
for him.
The search party is brought back to the rest of the Viking Council. But it is decided that the high priest was actually the one that did wrong by forcing the people to pursue and hate the innocent outsiders, and the prisoners may go in peace, as long as they swear a secret oath to never reveal the existence of this sacred island. But to ensure that the oath is honored for all time, they demand one thing.
One thing only.
A hostage be left behind there. And of course, they're talking about Donald. And Donald's like, no. And
Well, that just defeats the purpose
yep,
of everything we did.
his father, Sir Anthony, is not pleased at all by this because we find, that he's like, we just came all this way to catch this dude, and now he has to stay here.
Obviously, he wasn't thinking because at that point he could have been like, well, you know what? That's fine. But when you let me go, I'm going to come back and you're going to be amazed with what all I have.
No, he can't. There's an oath. But so we have like a sad scene where we learn that Donald has to stay, but then
No. It didn't specifically have to be Donald.
They said it was Donald.
They just said one person.
And then Donald assumed it had to be him.
And he assumed it had to be him. It wasn't.
So then we find out that the initial explorer, professor guy, Iverson, has offered to stay behind and live in the past.
Because he has enjoyed this entire experience.
Because he wants to explore history, and what better way to explore history than to be part of it?
Mm-hmm.
And they all decide that he's going to stay.
And no archaeologist has ever got to do what he is going to get to do. And he is just ecstatic.
So good luck is wished, and Donald and Freya, who said their goodbye to their father, or to her father, I'm sorry, and Sir Anthony and the captain and Donald's friend Omek, and of course their poodle, begin the dog sled journey back, and that's the end of this very fun film that I enjoyed way more while we were watching than when I just went through those notes. But keep going.
You enjoyed it way more while you were watching it?
Oh yeah, I loved this film while we were watching it.
I'm glad
It
you
was
did.
good. It was CGI was good. Like it was a good dude. It was 1974. Give it some slack. We've seen the doldrums to now. The first film we watched. Hold on, I thought of this. The first film that we watched in the Disney Featurelength film was from the year 1937.
Mhm.
We are now 37 years after the year 1937. So go ahead, back to you. We've come a long way.
I know we've come a long way.
But thoughts on The Island at the Top of the World?
I
The
still
last
didn't
film,
like it.
1974.
I didn't like it.
That's on you. But what do you got for facts?
This movie was released in the cinemas on a double bill, supported by a 25-minute animated Disney short, Winnie the Pooh and Tigger 2.
Which we'll be watching in.
What a combination.
We will be watching that in a little bit because all those Winnie the Pooh shorts are put together for the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, which is coming up in a few years.
What a weird
I
combination
mean, whatever.
to be a double bill. Anyway, um, despite Iverson's claim that the Vikings are speaking Old Norse, they are actually speaking modern Scandinavian languages. The Vikings are played by Norwegian, Swedish, and Danish and Icelandic actors using their native languages. So I thought that was kind of cool. The geographical location of Astrogard, the island at the top of the world in the movie, is due north of Ellesmere Island, also known as Croker Island. And I won't try to pronounce the other name for it because I don't even know how you would begin to say that. The latter of which, that I cannot say, is an Inuit language, but it means land of musk ox, which is one of the creatures that they saw when they first came up on the Arctic, because they saw that from the blimp. And let's see. The inhabitants of Astrogard may be the descendants of the Norsemen belonging to Eric the Red's second expedition to Greenland during the 10th century. The French airship does not appear in the film's source, the novel The Lost Ones. In the original work, they are still in a flying machine, but it's a helicopter. It's not the blimp that we see in this movie. But the book is set in 1960s when the helicopter had been invented. And then that wouldn't have worked out because I guess the time frame for the film was actually 1907, so early 1900s versus 1960. The film received an Academy Award nomination for Best Art Direction. How do you feel about that?
I think it was worth it.
But for basically for the set decoration, but it lost to The Godfather Part 2.
Also makes sense.
This picture source, the Donald G. Payne 1961 novel, The Lost Ones, was set in the 1960s. But like I said earlier, the motion picture adaptation was set 53 years earlier in 1907. So a little bit of a difference there. And then, like we were discussing, the island, the uncharted island at the top of the world in the Arctic Circle is Astrogard.
Astrogard. We went to Astrogard.
Yeah, it was a very interesting.
I would have loved to been there.
No, I don't think I would because I don't like the cold.
Okay. So what did you rate
It was
The
interesting, though.
Island at the Top of the World?
So the island at the top of the world, IMDb gave it a 6.2 out of 10. Surprising?
No,
Not
it's-
surprising?
That's what they rate
You
everything.
think that's solid? Okay. I gave it a 5 out of 10. Wasn't my favorite. Wasn't my least favorite.
I would have rated it higher than that. It was definitely enjoyable. It was fun. It was an adventure.
It was an adventure, but some of it I was just like, ugh. You know.
So then we know it doesn't make your list upon a star. So what is your list upon a star through the year 1974, which is 37 years after the year 1937 that we started watching.
Okay, so my list upon a star is 101 Dalmatians, The Parent Trap, Sleeping Beauty, Dumbo, Napoleon and Samantha, Snowball Express, The Jungle Book, Dave Cats, Lady and the Tramp, and Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Yeah. So after some thought, this is also not making my list upon a star.
No, I thought you liked it so much.
I did like it a lot, but I have a pretty heavy list upon a star right now. It's only a top 10, and we've watched
So
107.
if I rated it a 5 out of 10
films.
and you would have rated it higher, what would you have gave it number rating since it didn't make your list upon a star?
Like a s-
Okay. Okay.
I mean, we've watched 117 films. I mean, it has to
That's
be
fine.
pretty tough competition. But either way, my list upon a star currently is at number 1, 101 Dalmatians. At number 2, Mary Poppins. At number 3, Peter Pan. At number 4, Robin Hood. At number 5, Alice in Wonderland. At number 6, Bedknobs and Broomsticks. At number 7, Babes in Toyland. At number 8, Napoleon and Samantha. At number 9, The Aristocats. And then my number 10, currently on the chopping block, all the way back from the year 1940. And the second film that we watched, of course, is Pinocchio. And we will put that right over there. Just kidding, right here. And then we'll put that right there. So we've made it through the year 1974. Our next deep dive, we are moving up to 1975 for a fun run of films. And the first film of 1975, which is our next watch, is film number 118. 118, now it's wild. And that film is the last of the trilogy of the Dexter Loomis Medfield College films. And it is a film called The Strongest Man in the World.
Mhm.
Will it be the strongest movie in the world? We will talk more about it then. But either way, we are on Instagram. We are on Spotify and YouTube, Deep Dive in the Magic. And of course, we would love to hear from you, deepdiveinthemagicpod@gmail.com. Thank you as always. If this is your first time watching, thank you so much. If this is your 117th time watching, thank you so much. But either way, we will see you next time for 1975, The Strongest Man in the World.
Thanks for deep diving the magic.
Bye.
Bye.